Now, we are moving on to the second part, which is under the preparation of salts. This is actually built upon the foundation of the solubility table. So in order for us to know how do we prepare the salts, what are the methods we should use, we must always keep in mind the first part that we have learned, which is the solubility table. Now, the preparation of salts, which is what we're going to do now, is broken down into three different methods. So take note, there are three different methods. So what are they? First one is what we call the acid with excess insoluble MCB, metal, carbonate, or base. Just in case you guys forget, it is anion and ion. The base we talk about, it must contain the O minus or O minus, or it will end with the word hydroxide for the compound. For this, it is carbonate. So now, acid with excess insoluble metal, carbonate, or base. This is the first method. Right? We will look at it later on. Next one, we will look at it. The second method is actually your titration method. Right? The titration method is the second one. And the last one is your precipitation method. We will go into details what each of them encompasses. But now, I need you to remember that there are three different methods, which are precipitation, titration, and acid with excess insoluble MCB. MCB. Okay, so now, how do we know which method to use for the salt preparation? Okay, so maybe I ask you, okay, maybe we say, let's try prepare the salt calcium nitrate. Okay, so I was asked you to prepare calcium nitrate, and you're supposed to use this table to determine which method to use. Okay, so first question is always to ask, is the salt soluble in water? Obviously, if you look at this here, calcium nitrate, is it soluble in water? Yes, it is, because all nitrates are soluble in water. All nitrates are soluble in water. So I'll go down this arrow over here. Once I've determined the first question, let's look at the second one. Is this a group 1 or sparse salt? So in this case, is calcium a sparse salt? Does it belong to sparse? That means, is it sodium, potassium, or ammonium? Or does it belong to any of the elements in group 1, which is the first column? If you look through your periodic table, calcium is not any one of them. So therefore, I'll need to go down this row. So therefore, the method used is acid with excess insoluble MCB method. Okay, we're going to go through some practices here in order for you to be familiar with the usage of this flowchart. Now, let's try the first one. Right, let me do a page break here. Let's try to get this up. Okay, now, the first salt. Okay, let's break this down. Right, the first salt that we're trying to produce is the copper 2 sulfate. So for copper 2 sulfate, let's check it out. We ask ourselves, is the salt soluble in water? Is it soluble? Wait, sorry, let's go again. Is the salt soluble in water? So if you look through your solubility table, okay, let's look at it. We look at our sulfate, okay? We're looking at copper 2 sulfate here. So sulfate, copper 2 sulfate. Now, all sulfates are soluble except for lead-2 sulfate, barium sulfate, and calcium sulfate. So is copper 2 sulfate soluble? Answer is yes. Copper 2 sulfate is soluble in water. So let's go back down again. So we know that copper 2 sulfate is soluble in water, so the answer is a yes. And we come to question 2. Is it a group 1 or sparse salt? Does copper belong to group 1? Or is it sodium, potassium, ammonium? Obviously, it is not. So since it is not a group 1 or sparse salt, right? Therefore, we will be going under this arrow. So what method should we use? Will be the says looking quite ugly there, my handwriting. Insoluble MCB. Okay, let's try the next example. Now, next one we have is silver nitrate. So silver nitrate, let's run through the flowchart again. Is the salt soluble in water? Obviously it is, because all nitrates, every single nitrate is soluble. So we have to go down this arrow. Is it a group 1 or sparse salt? Silver doesn't belong to group 1. Silver is also not part of SPA, because SPA stands for sodium, potassium, and ammonium. So therefore, answer is no again. So now we are down with this method, which is same thing. Acid, excess, soluble. Right? Let's try the next example. Iron 3 chloride. So obviously we must ask ourselves the same question again. Start off with, is the salt soluble in water? Iron 3 chloride. So let's look under the chloride section. Chlorides. All chlorides are soluble except for lead 2 chloride and silver chloride. So we are looking at iron 3 chloride. So is this salt soluble? The answer is yes. This salt is soluble in water. So since this salt is soluble in water, we go down this arrow. Second question. Is this a group 1 or sparse salt? Answer is no, because iron is not from group 1, neither is it a spar. So therefore, it will be the same method again, which is acid with excess insoluble MCB. Okay, next one, once again, rather than using calcium nitrate, let's try something else. Maybe we can go for maybe we try sodium nitrate. Okay, sodium nitrate. So let's ask the first question. For sodium nitrate, is the salt soluble in water? Answer is yes. So we are down this arrow again. Second question to ask. Is this a group 1 or sparse salt? This is a sodium salt. So is it a group 1 or sparse salt? Answer is it is, because sodium is part of SPA under S. S stands for sodium. So which method do we use? In this case, is it a group 1 or sparse salt? Answer is yes. We will be using the titration method. So this is with regards to the solubility, in terms of the preparation of salts, okay, in terms of the methods. We'll be looking at the procedures one by one later on.